So high places are places that we can physically separate ourselves out from the world around us. What that allows us to do is to be free of the influences around us in society and cities or whatever. And it also allows us to kind of be within our own thoughts. Now again, you can never be entirely pure of your own because you were raised in a society. But being able to separate ourselves out from a society gives us at least an opportunity to be ourselves and to be in solitude. Now an important point, when we find people going up into solitude, you don't take a bunch of people with you. The idea is that this is a retreat for a person, it's an individual, so they can become a deeper individual. Not to take a group of people to become tighter together. You'll hear about like companies or organizations, they'll go on retreats and they'll take like a bunch of their employees with them, and the idea is you take them out of the normal workplace because you want to make them a better team. When you separate yourself out, it's to become a better individual. So what happens in a place of solitude? Well, you're thinking, and when you're by yourself, think about the kinds of things that your mind turns towards. Usually it turns towards the deeper issues of life. Why am I here? What's the meaning of life? Where am I going in my life? What kinds of decisions am I making? And so we find that places of height, places away from society, allow us to be in solitude, and it leads us towards introspection. Solitude, introspection lead to wisdom, eventually. It also gives us a perspective. It gives us a way to see the world not as part of it. I was using the example last time, I think it was, about if you go up Cowles Mountain, for example, and you're able to look down on San Diego, it looks peaceful. It looks like everything's nicely ordered. Everyone's just kind of going about their days. If you go to Los Angeles and you go up to Griffith Park, the observatory, there's a little hill there where you can look out over LA, and for whatever LA has in it, when you look at it, it looks like it's all nice and ordered. The streets are there, the cars are all kind of going about their normal way, the buildings look great. But when you descend yourself back down, what's it really like to be in the middle of that? It's chaos. It's absolute chaos. But from a certain height, you can see the order in the chaos. And that's one of the things that height gives us. It's a perspective. When we separate ourselves from something, it gives us a perspective. So it can be a literal high place. It can be just going away to someplace else, away, separating yourself out. So now, once you've gone down there and you gain some wisdom, what is it time to do? You're going to apply the wisdom. And where do we apply the wisdom? In the underworld. So that's where you go down and you do battle with whatever it is. Whatever is down there that's challenging you, whether it's demons, whether it's Satan himself, whether it's the gods, something that essentially represents that other side of us that has to be defeated. Now, what characterizes the underworld? Now, obviously, battles, but fire, refinement, things like that as well. And so, when you go down there, it's a lot like, if you remember from the first couple of weeks, me talking about dragons and going and fighting the dragon. So who fights dragons? Shrek. And what does Shrek represent, of course? Who generally fights dragons? Knights, yeah. So when a knight shows up, what's a knight wearing? Armor, yeah. Which is, there's nothing worse to show up wearing to fight a dragon, because the dragon's going to breathe fire onto you. And so if you're wearing metal, you're essentially walking into a fight while wearing an oven. Because once it throws some fire at you, it's going to heat that metal, you're going to burn on the inside. But we'll still show up wearing this stuff because we think, this is going to protect me. This is going to protect me. And there's a lesson there. It's telling us that the things that we think are going to protect us are not going to protect us at all. So once you realize that, what's the sensible thing to do? Take the armor off, man. Take off that thing that you thought was going to protect you, but is actually making things worse. Strip yourself from that. And you're going to find that people will wander the underworld wearing and carrying only what you need to carry with you. Up here, we can see what makes sense. Down here, we find out what you actually need. And so you'll strip yourself down of all of the unnecessary things. You'll do battle. This is where you gain wisdom. This is where you engage in action. This is where you see what works. And once you've done that and you've stripped yourself of everything unnecessary, there's only one thing left, which is you. The you that you were developing up there. This is where you recreate it. This is where you refine it. Just like with fire, it burns away anything that's unnecessary. Which is the only sensible thing to do with the unnecessary things of your life. The unnecessary things of your life are exactly the things that are holding you back. And whatever isn't worthy of representing you, but it's part of your character, if it's not worthy, though, of representing you, then that's what should happen to it. It should burn away. It should be gone because it's holding you back from becoming what you could be. It's busy weighing you down into what you are, rather than giving you an opportunity to become what you could be. And so the refining fire is good for that, but you don't know that until you come up against some fire, against some struggles, against some challenges. You know, going through life just kind of calm and content doesn't tell you what you could be. It only tells you what it is that you are. And not knowing what you could be, I mean, geez. I wonder how many of you struggle with that with parents who didn't become what they could have been. And so they try to live through you. They try to guide and direct your life. It's not a bad thing, by the way. They're doing what they think is best. They want you to succeed. But a lot of times it comes from trying to guide people into the directions that we didn't go ourselves. You know, the unlived life of the parents, that's the thing that creates a tremendous level of psychological disturbances in their children. And so, get rid of it, you know? Don't be what you are. Be what you could become. Don't be so proud of what you are. Instead, sort yourself out and become what you could be. And then once you become what you could be, because you've done battle with those elements, now you return back to the earth, which is the place where you inhabit. That's the place where you now live, as a midpoint between these two extremes. Because which one do you need to be? A person of wisdom or a person of action? Yes. If you're a person of wisdom with no action, you're useless. If you're a person of action with no wisdom, you're useless. You need to be both. Because if you're just action, you need wise people. If you're wise, you need people of action. Eliminate that need from your life. Be both. Don't need the other one. Be both, so you only need yourself. Does this make sense? Okay. It's important when we go back to look at Zarathustra, he's talking about high spaces and things like that. So we'll see it.